Hello, hi, welcome. Today we're going to paint pumpkins. So many pumpkins. I hope anyway to have a pumpkin patch. So here I have my round Etchr brush. I decided to try a lot of different brushes, or at least a few different brushes. But this Etchr has a super great point. And I thought that it would help me because I'm lacking control in these pumpkin shapes. You can call them half moons, arcs, a banana shape. I've done a lot of different tutorials on YouTube about pumpkins, and people call them different things, right? Moon slivers, little just little hugging. They kind of remind me of like pieces of an orange or like one of those big plastic beach balls that you play with. But anyway, I'm going to play with colors here and explore different colors and different brushes. And so I kind of thought it would be fun to just paint these and kind of chat and see where it leads because I'm not really 100% sure. I thought I would play with a couple different colors. Right now, this is a blue from Cosmic from Laura at Cosmic Creations. I always mess that up for some reason. I keep calling it Cozy or because it's COZ Mick Creations. Anyway, and I'll be playing with different colors. I won't call out all the colors because honestly, I don't remember which colors they are. I have these mapped out, but I don't have them each labeled. And so I am using a little palette to kind of mix colors as I go. And it's not important what colors I use, honestly. I want you to explore the colors you have and not necessarily go out and buy all the colors I have. Although I do love these colors that I'm using today. And so if you like them, then definitely you can reach out and we'll try to figure out what colors they are if you really were head over heels in love with one color. But I do like to play with my colors and mix them. So if I have a blue and maybe it's too blue, I'll add a touch of orange to it. Or, I like to play with my colors that way. And so I find a lot of fun in something like this. And then after I've got all these, I have the main circle, oval, egg shape in the beginning, in the middle, and I can make that long or short or however you want it, right? And then I do those hugging curves, those hugging C shapes or moon shapes around that middle. And so they all kind of hug, right? And then I drop in darker colors at the top and the bottoms. It can be the same color. You can use the same tonal values or just go, less water and make it darker, or you can drop in different colors. Totally and absolutely up to you. I love to do it when it's wet, so everything starts bleeding. Here I'm taking some of the not trunk, what is the stem, stem color, and dropping it in along the lines, just the lines, so it kind of adds a little bit of depth. And you'll see me do this a lot. I'll play with this a lot and see sometimes it looks too like that, and you can leave it like that, and that's absolutely fine. But I often will go in and kind of just blend it out and kind of play with it to get it to move a little bit more. Sometimes I'll pick it up and wipe it out. I'll use too much. Whoops, like there, I used a lot, and it's okay. Just go with it. If you don't like it, pick it up. Take your brush, rinse it off. There you go. See right there, picked it up a little bit. And then just add some curly cues at the top of your stems if you want, and some leaves. And I'm very, very loose with these. Don't overthink these leaves. Just get some blobs in there, quite honestly. Don't try to make perfect leaves. I think every time I try to make a perfect leaf, it would just be like, whoa, what the heck was that? And I love this Etchr brush. I can't remember if it's the size 8 maybe. Maybe the brush will spin around and I'll see it and I'll remember which size I used. Again, I can go look. It's probably still in my cup from the other day. Anyway, so I'm just going to keep going. I really do like a fine tip for these shapes for me personally. I was trying to use my Polina, and the tip on it just isn't as great as when I first had it. I've made so many trees with my Polina brush that the tip is just, it's not there anymore, unfortunately. So I do need to grab another one. And yeah, brushes don't last forever. That's a part of what it is. And so I've been using my Tintorettos and my Etchers for rounds a lot lately because of the tips on them. My mops on my Polinas also, I wore them out with a lot of trees. So you do want to slightly, I wouldn't say baby your brushes, but I'd be mindful. They don't always stay perfect, and so it is what it is. Anyway, so I mixed up an orange here, and then I added a little bit darker at the tops and the bottoms and the lines, and I just keep doing this over and over, and you can play with so many different color combinations. I think that was what my favorite part about this was, just playing with the dropping in the yellows and the oranges, and I can drop in some brown when I go to do the stem. There's some burnt sienna I grabbed. You can grab some red. You can do any color. You could even drop some purple if you wanted way more rustic. Like this is a pretty bright one, right? And I did a variety. I ended up doing quite a variety of these, and I didn't necessarily make it themed so that it felt like it was cohesive. I just kind of went for it and played with different colors. This isn't a sketchbook. This is in more of a kind of a rag style sketchbook, although I don't think it's considered one. It's by Viviva. Sorry, I always butcher over that one. Viviva. Listen to me say that 10 times fast. Sorry. And the texture is really, really, really amazing. It doesn't love to be overworked. I have a few different of these books. This is one I bought probably a few years ago, and the texture is really rough, and I love the rough texture. However, it doesn't always love me, and so that's why these do look extra rustic. So depending on what kind of paper you're using, you're going to also get different results. I would still recommend 100% cotton. I wouldn't recommend anything less. I just think that when you're practicing something like this, it's honestly best to use the best paper. Sure, you could practice on crap paper, but I just feel that you're not going to love what you're doing as much. And the only reason I say this is because I used cruddy paper for a really, really long time, way too long, way longer than I should have, and I regret it. Now, back in my, it's one of those things I would have changed, definitely, and I would definitely tell myself, my, pre all this time self, use good paper, spend the money, it's okay. It's okay to spend the money, and there are ways to not spend so much money. So if you ever needed, ideas on that, I can definitely help you out and lead you in a direction that's less spendy. There are papers out there that aren't terribly bad, and you can also cut your papers down. There's ways. Anyway, in this pumpkin, I wanted to go taller and skinnier, and I think it's super cute. I think it has a cute shape. So at first, I wanted my pumpkins to be perfect, and I'm like, I am not the perfect kind of person. I know this about myself. So I let them be rustic. I let them be wonky. I let them kind of be uneven, just like my trees. Trees aren't perfect in nature. Neither are pumpkins, right? And everybody reminded me of that, and it was such a good reminder. Pumpkins don't have to be perfect. On the contrary, right? They're very, very, when they grow next to each other, maybe they're, laying on their side, maybe they're up against another pumpkin, they're just so wonky. The ground's uneven. Somebody turns them partway through. Who knows? I'm not a pumpkin patch expert. Whenever I look at a box of pumpkins at the grocery store, they're very rustic. Or even when I've gone to a pumpkin patch, those few times I have been to a few, and they are definitely, rustic and bumpy and almost like very characteristic, right? And I wanted mine to reflect that. I wanted them to be full of character and unique, and not like every perfect pumpkin I saw on YouTube, because there were many perfect pumpkins I saw on YouTube. And, over the years, I have tried painting these, and I got very, very frustrated. This is the first year, quite honestly, that I did not get frustrated. This is the first year I feel that I haven't got frustrated in a lot of things. So I think that's maybe a small sign of like, wow, things are changing for me, right? Maybe I'm becoming a little more comfortable in my skin, with my brush, with everything. So I think that happens so slowly. Sometimes you don't notice it, and it can be discouraging at times because you're like, wow, I don't feel like I'm improving, or, I keep messing up on this, or it's not better. But, it takes time for some of us. Some of us it takes a lot longer. For me, particularly, it took a long, long time. It's taking a long time, right? I'm not a natural at drawing. I'm not a natural at shapes and perspective and all this stuff. So I'm learning, and I'm taking everything slow, and that's okay. And I'm having fun with it. And I'm hoping that it shows you that it's okay too. Whatever track you're on, whatever journey you're on, whatever time frame you're on, it's yours. And that's just what it is, right? It is what it is. And we can still appreciate, and I think others can still appreciate our stuff, even if it's not those perfect pumpkins you see all over YouTube or Instagram or wherever. And there are a lot of pumpkins going around right now. So I wanted these to become mine. And like I said before, I'm not recreating the wheel, right? So many people paint pumpkins. And I've learned, I've used Hello Lovely People, her tutorial with Kristen, Emma LaFave, I'm probably saying it wrong. Hers, I've seen, oh gosh, I think Sarah has one. There's, I could name every single artist online, and they probably have a pumpkin tutorial. So if these look like any of theirs, it's only because I've taken all their tutorials and I've done all the things. I don't think it looks like any particular ones. I'm hoping that it doesn't, because I'm not out here to, copy or take anybody's ideas at all whatsoever. So anyway, and I want you to do the same. I want you to make your own shapes. I want you to do what works for you and try different brushes. Eventually I do switch brushes, but I am really loving this Etchr brush. Look how thin it gets, and it even gets the lines. It gets that little, I don't even know what that stuff is called, the twiny stuff off the stem. What is that called? I don't know. And you can exaggerate it. You can make the leaves bigger. Mine are kind of small, not very realistic, but that's okay. Just do it however you want it. You can make giant leaves if you want it, right? You can make giant leaves that are touching every single pumpkin next to it and let them bleed, which I love. I did that last year and the year before, and I absolutely loved it. Don't know why I kept them really funny small this year. Maybe they're giant pumpkins, and so the leaves are just dwarfed by the giantness of the pumpkin. I don't know. I just went with it. So I did switch brushes here. I am trying to use my Polina round, and this one has a funny tip. I don't know why. It leans to one side. It totally does. It has a random hair that is longer. I've never leave my brushes in water. I've never left them to even like rinse in water like that. I rinse and lay them down. So I don't know what, maybe I'm just really, really rough and, crazy person making trees. I paint thousands and thousands of trees. So maybe my brushes just said, nope, no more amber. You are too fast with these trees and we don't like that. So I guess that's what it is. So you can also make these like almost Cinderella pumpkins with like all these like tops that kind of twist and twirl. It's really fun. Just try it, and whatever you do, it doesn't really matter because they are so rustic, and I really don't think it matters. I don't know why I stuck with all brown on my stems. Completely and absolutely unrealistic. I just like the way they bleed. I like the contrast. Personal preference, right? You can totally go golden brown. You can go beige, whatever color you wanted, quite honestly, right? These are do it, color your own, do it your own, paint your own. Really just do whatever you like. And if you wanted like all white, those are super fun too. I just wanted to explore different colors, and that's where I was at with these. With this orange, I had taken a rustic orange. She doesn't even make paints anymore, but I loved her orange, and so I just wanted to play with that. And this green is a mixture of Laura's from Cosmic Cosmic Watercolors again. Come on, Amber, out with it. She's got this green that I've been using, and this, I don't know what blue it is. I wish I knew all the names right now, but I don't. I soon will. I'll have all the names for you. But anyway, it's a lighter blue, so it's almost like a horizon blue, like a Smurf blue, and a like a pea green. And so I mix those two together, and they kind of granulate. You'll see after it dries in a little while, the green and the blue kind of separate. It was a really cool effect. So I was super happy with this one, even though at first I was like, oh, this is kind of doesn't really go with anything. But again, it's about experimenting. It's almost like swatching, but on a pumpkin, right? So you get to see the paints do their magic together. And I think that's just so magical. The brush is working for me now because I switched. This is a super, see how I struggled with that orange one? See how the bottoms, you can tell at the bottom of that orange pumpkin on the right hand side, above the green one, the tips are kind of funny at the bottom because the brush wasn't pointy enough for me, and I'm not great at brush control, like in that sense of light-handedness. And so that tip not being perfectly straight like that just made me wonky. This brush I'm using right here is a super, super inexpensive, almost, it is a dollar store style brush. And I hate to say it, but it worked great. It works great. Okay, I couldn't get these so fine because I was overthinking it. The little twirly cues, little things that I can't think of the names for. What are those things called? I keep wanting to say twine, but it's not, and it's going to come to me eventually, and it will probably when I'm done. But anyway, that cheapy brush works really great. And I used to think that I go back and forth. I do think good brushes are very, very important. Do you have to spend a ton of money on brushes to have them be good, considered quote unquote good brushes? I don't believe so. You do need to spend the money on the paper. The paper is the number one thing you need to spend the money on. For me, for instance, the paints are super important to me because they inspire me, they intrigue me, they keep me curious. And so for me, when I'm buying new colors, I buy them in the mind that I will mix these colors. I rarely buy a color knowing, oh my gosh, I'm gonna use that straight out of the pan and this is gonna be it, right? Like this pink is something I mixed up. It's not something straight out of the pan. It's a mix of red bud pigments, pink, and a little bit of her other colors. So I'm a big, 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 big fan of even mixing colors that already came to me a certain way, right? So sometimes I feel like I'm in a restaurant and I'm ordering off the menu, right? Oh, well, I want this, but with this and that. And I used to despise people like that. But I get it. I get it more now, obviously, as I'm older. But I also get it with paint because I want it to be a very, very personal experience for me. I want to make it unique. I want to make it mine. I want to make it fun, intriguing. I want to keep me excited for it, right? I don't want to come back and know that's the exact pink I'm going to use every single time. I like to mix it up. And so, and now I'm using, oh, by the way, I switched to my Escoda Versatile, I think it was Versatile? Escoda, yeah, right? I don't remember. Anyway, Escoda round. The tip on this one also doesn't appear to be very good, but it works really nicely, this brush. I really like this brush. For the stem, I am back to the Etchr. It is just, the point on that thing is just so amazing. I'm really, really loving my Etchrs lately. And I think I'm on a size 6. So yeah, I brought, what, a size 6 and an 8 out. I can see the size now finally. The Escoda is a size 4, and the cheapy brush, I can't remember what size. It, a lot of brushes just have different sizes, right? It's so strange. You'd think it'd be more of a universal thing, but it doesn't seem to be. But it is what it is. And you find what works for you no matter what it is, right? And if you look on most details of brushes, these cheapy ones, of course not, but if you're on any kind of website, art website, even Amazon, they will tell you the inches. And, if you pay attention closely to the details of the information of the product you're buying, you can figure it out. But in the beginning, I didn't really do that. I was just, oh, size 2, okay. Well, sometimes a size 2 is giant, right? Sometimes a size 6 is massive. So it can be a little, in the beginning, a little, oh, wait, what? What am I doing? What am I doing? I have no idea. So anyway, back to this. This one, I can't remember what color I used, but it was really watered down. And so I think for me, part of the fun is doing a really, really, really watered down version to start with these, and then kind of add in as you'd like, right? Because it's harder to take away, not harder, but it's, I guess, slightly more challenging to take color away in watercolor than to bring it. So, how they always say, start with the light first and work your way to the dark. And, that's true. I like to add the stem right away, only because I really like to see what the brown does with where I'm dropping it in. So I like to see the bleeds and how that works, and then I usually go back in with my other color. But you can do it however you want. There's no rhyme or reason to these, really. If you really wanted to, you could do the stem first, right? And branch off from the stem to make all these, sliver, moon, half whatever you want to call them shapes, right? These little C curves, I hear a lot of people call them. And I guess I don't do a lot of C curves, because when I learned C curves, it was for florals, right? And all I would do is talk about C curves, join 2 C curves together to make a leaf, right? And so if you're still in the floral world a lot, that's, I think, where I was so used to hearing that C curve kind of give me traumatizing flashbacks, honestly. I struggled with florals so darn bad, and I didn't figure out my way with florals. Now I know my way, and I'm much more comfortable with that, and so it feels better. But before, I didn't know. And so with these pumpkins, I think part of the frustrating part for me was I didn't really know how to stack these curves, these half moons, or whatever you want to call them. It didn't know how to make them work. And so I think just doing, like, this one's super wonky, but just play with it. It's like I almost started over again. I'm like, wait, how do I make this go? But just keep playing with it over and over. And even the wonky, like it's like a forest of trees, right? You're not seeing each tree. You're seeing this whole patch of pumpkins, and you're probably not picking each pumpkin apart. Maybe you are. Maybe you're like, oh wow, she did a crappy job on that one. And that's okay. That's okay. Don't do that on yours, right? Do it a better way. Do it the way that makes you feel better, right? Don't do it my crappy way. And if you see a color combination you do or don't like, or don't want to use, or want to use, do that as well, right? If you want all orange ones, go for it. If you want all that cool sagey green and cream colored ones, do that too. Do really whatever. See how fine this pen gets? I love this pen. I had to zoom in for you because it's such a pen. This brush. Look at the tip on it. It's like a pen. It's so darn good. And I just can't say enough good things about these Etchr brushes. They do come in like a set of 10. I think you would get 2 fan brushes, 2 flat brushes, and the rest are round. So as you maybe think you'll use the fans, or I think anybody would use the flats. Flats are invaluable. They're awesome. If you haven't used flat brushes in your watercolor, definitely grab one, a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. I love a full inch for my washes. I like to use that to wet my paper. I had one from back in my days, early days of college, when I tried to take a watercolor class back then and failed miserably and walked out. That's how bad I was at watercolor. And so the problem was I wasn't even that bad. I just didn't know how to embrace my abilities at the time, what level I was. The class was very much focused for people that could draw. And so for those of us, or me, that could not draw, it felt very uncomfortable and frustrating, right? Because they were all literally drawing still lifes, um, you know, like people coming in and stuff in the class to be live models. And so for someone that can't draw, that's super intimidating. And back then classes weren't as like fine tuned, right? They were just like watercolor. You're like, okay, that's the only watercolor class there is, so I take it. It wasn't, it was an intro to watercolor too, which was crazy now that I think back that something like that was an intro to anything. Because that's not an intro in my eyes. It's like an established art watercolor class, established artist class, and I love that now that we realize that that doesn't have to be that way. Anybody can paint at any level, at any skill, at any point in their life. Nobody has to be perfect at anything they try right off. You can just try, and it doesn't matter if you're good or if you're not good, or if it looks pretty or if it doesn't look pretty. So just keep going with these colors. Just have fun with these colors. Sorry, my arm was in the way. I did try to get most of those out for you, so it wasn't a lot of time wasting with my arm in the way. Instead of doing a full live speak as I go, I tried to edit. That was over an hour, so I did edit out over about 30 to 40 minutes out of just like arm reaching and pausing and maybe having to talk to the kids. And so life is happening as I'm painting these pumpkins. My kids are cooking dinner for me. I had to stop halfway through. You'll see light changes. You'll see it get yellower and lighter. The kids turn on the other light that I don't usually like on, but they did it anyway. Those kind of things. So usually my YouTubes are very in the moment kind of things, and they're not always perfect. But if you want more of a fine-tuned sort of demo and tutorial, definitely check out Skillshare. I do have classes on there, just 2 so far. I'm working on a third. It's slow going because they are so particular, right? You have to have everything edited down to a T, no background sounds. Like right now you can hear my water thing going. Sometimes you'll hear, just random things in the background. I do try to keep the kids and the family at bay, but for the most part, sometimes you'll hear an animal doing something, and that just says what it is. Anyway, I went full on green for this pumpkin. I think it's Masha's serpent green and a little bit of her shadow green, and I might even add there's sepia, obviously. I think I use sepia or Van Dyke brown for all my stems on my pumpkins and the tendrils. That's a good word, tendril, even though I think that's only for hair. But I don't know. Can it be for a pumpkin? Can pumpkins have tendrils too? I don't know. Oh, this one I grabbed out my American Journey paints from Cheap Joe's, made by Da Vinci, and this is Coastal Fog, and I love this color. It's kind of like a buff titanium with a tint of blue, which you can easily tint your buff titanium with a tint of blue, right? You don't have to buy this special color, but I don't know, convenience colors are super convenient, right? You're not constantly mixing every single color you need. Sure, of course, I can mix colors like anybody else. I can mix them like crazy, right? But convenience colors are just really fun.